In today's video, we're going to be talking all about the 10 players that I'm going to be watching in tomorrow's game versus the New York Jets. Now, keep in mind, this could be for good or for bad reasons. You're going to see that very soon. And by soon, I mean actually right now, because number 10 is Shaq Mason. There's two of our linemen who did not play very good, or better yet, make that three. Brown, while he was in, was not good. Obviously, all the backups, all the players that were not a part of the starting offensive line played very bad, but I'm expecting not to have to watch them this week, so that's why they're not making the list. Then we have Shaq Mason here, and he just did not play very good. And there was a lot of penalties that came from the offensive line, and I can't really remember if he was one of the culprits or not. We had one very solid offensive lineman and then one really good offensive lineman as well. Onwenu was the best one. He was ranked fifth amongst all guards in the NFL. As of last week. So that was a very, very good performance for him. And he was one of the more solid parts of our offense for sure. And he actually was the number 2 ranked offensive player according to Pro Football Focus, right behind Mac Jones is the number 1 offensive player on our entire team. We also have David Andrews, who came in as a 67.2, so he played really good as well. But yeah, Shaq Mason, I'm going to be watching him. I think he's going to bounce back. We've been getting consistency from these players, a lot of these long-term offensive linemen that we have, Shaq Mason, Andrews, and then I guess that's all that's left. That's pretty sad. But yeah, Mason and Andrews there, we've had pretty consistently good play from them over the past few seasons, so I do expect Shaq Mason to bounce back for that reason. Number 9, Josh Uche, and this one is for a good reason because he had a monster game. A lot of pressure he was sending at the offensive line and at the quarterback in last week's game. The Miami Dolphins offensive line is no good, obviously, but the Jets offensive line isn't too much better, actually. Their rookie left tackle, Becton, actually is out with an injury, so it's the same story that we had with the Miami Dolphins, where their left tackle was injured. We should expect similar play from our defensive linemen and pass rushers, which was very solid in last week's game, especially the pass rush was vicious. The one thing I don't know is if Kyle Van Noy is going to be a part of the team because he had a sore throat. So, yeah, sore throat. We can't know really if we can expect to have him back or not because of that reason. It's so weird that a few years ago that would have been like not a concern at all. But now, obviously, that can take you out longer than some injuries can. Very, very weird days we live in. Now, number 8, Isaiah Wynn here, as you can see. And again, this is one of the worst offensive linemen that played last week on our team. And he's been good when he's played and when he's been healthy since we drafted him. But last week was definitely not a good week for him. 54.1 rating there from Pro Football Focus. Definitely not a good game for him. And also a lot of offensive lineman penalties came actually from him directly, which is also not a good thing because the penalties were half the reason we lost the game. The fumbles are the other half. But there was some really costly penalties that came from the offensive linemen as far as holding is concerned that were really, really concerning to see. And I hope that he has a bounce back week as well. But Shaq Mason, I'm a little bit more confident that he'll bounce back than Isaiah Wynn. We'll see what happens with him. Matt Judon, number 7, he had another really good game as well for his debut as a Patriot. A really, really good game on his part, and it was very exciting to see, to say the least. He was one of the top-ranked defensive players according to Pro Football Focus with a 70.4. He came in as 27th out of 65 edge rushers that started in the NFL last week. So obviously a really, really good above-average week for him, to say the least. Dante Hightower as well here. He's a guy that is kind of a neutral one here. He didn't necessarily have a great week last week or a bad one, but I'm hoping that we can get more production out of him. Obviously, he's been out quite a while with his opt-out season last season, so it's going to take a little bit of time to jog off the rust a little bit and really get back to his form that he was in before all of this started back in 2019, which was a really good player, by the way. So we'll see what happens with him. I think he's going to bounce back this week as well. Obviously, the Jets are not as tough as an opponent as the Dolphins were, for sure. But, you know, any given Sunday, we could carry this momentum of losing the game and totally come in with less confidence and lose this game as well. So these players really, really need to step it up. But it is pretty obvious that this is an easier opponent than the Miami Dolphins. Also, they have a rookie quarterback, and Bill Belichick tends to really, really play well against rookie quarterbacks. But with the performance we saw last week, I would not be surprised if somehow we lost this game because of the fumbles. or the penalties or some other reason, unless they clean that up, which I do expect that they will end up doing that. We can expect more offensive production this week because of the fact that the Jets do not have a defense like the Miami Dolphins do. What we saw Mac Jones do last week against the Miami Dolphins is extra crazy because the Miami Dolphins have an amazing defensive backfield, actually, with their corners and their safeties. I mean, it's really, really talented, and also their pass rush is really good, and they actually got the best of our offensive line at times for sure, and he still thrived. You can expect a step up from what we saw last week, this week against the Jets from the offense, especially the passing offense. Obviously, we had 100 rushing yards and then some, actually. So I would be really happy if we saw similar production from the running backs with minus the fumbles, obviously, and then better passing game this week because of the fact that this defensive pass rush and the defensive backs are not as talented as the Miami Dolphins. But again, any given Sunday, just like I said. Anyway, with all that being said, I just went on a huge, huge rant there. Johnny Smith, number 5. I want to see the tight ends get a little bit more production. We saw some flashes of their talent last week. I'm very satisfied with what I saw, but obviously we need to see more production from them. With all that being said, obviously Hunter Henry comes in here at number 4 for very, very similar reasons. Jonnu Smith, I think, did not have quite as good of a game as Hunter Henry did, but they were both moderately productive and showed flashes of that talent, like I said before. I think Mac Jones is going to continue to try to look their way and get the ball out to them. Speaking of Mac Jones, number 3, Mac Jones, and he's usually the number 1, but I really feel good about what we saw last week, and I'm expecting similar accuracy and decision making. So I'm not quite as worried about watching Mac Jones. I feel like he's proven throughout the preseason and now throughout the regular season in one game as well. So he's building some confidence. He's still at number 3 because he still is obviously a rookie and he could have some rookie-like games. So I am going to be watching for negative and positive reasons, but he has moved down from number 1 to number 3. Another reason why he's moved down is because these running backs are super suspect. Number 2, Ramondre Stevenson. We need to see those fumbles cleaned up. What I want to see this week is no fumbles from any of the running backs. Matter of fact, no fumbles at all from any of the players would be very nice, and that would make me feel confident again in these playmakers' abilities to not drop the ball. But yeah, Ramondre Stevenson, number 2. And then number 1, Damian Harris. I want to see that production again, but let's do without the fumbles for sure. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins are really good at punching the ball out, so I don't think the Jets are going to be doing that quite as much or as effectively as the Dolphins did. But who knows? I mean, can we really blame it on the Miami Dolphins just being good at making our players fumble, or do we have fumbling issues? And that's why I'm going to be watching these players because there's a lot of questions moving forward. Anyway, guys, that's it for my top 10 players to watch during tomorrow's game against the New York Jets. I'm very excited for the game. I might make a video tomorrow. I might not. Usually on game day, I don't, but sometimes I do. So we'll be watching the game, and then I'll be getting back with you guys on Monday at the very worst case. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for the best Patriots content on YouTube. I'll see you guys on the next video.